As it's 10:31, we will call the meeting to order. And first, before we start discussing the proposals, I would like to take a minute to say a word of prayer for Jackie and Zach and the other staffer and the woman who all lost their lives this week in a horrific accident. Lord, we ask you first to please be with those who have lost their lives, even though we entrust them to your care, and we know that you greeted Jackie with, "Well done, good and faithful servant." Jackie epitomized what a good politician should be. She cared deeply for everyone whose life she touched. She worked diligently on different proposals and different legislation to help those of us who need the help the most: the veterans, the poor, the weak, the children, the unborn. Lord, we know that she is in a far better place, but Lord, please be with Dean and her family and all of those people's families. Give them peace that surpasses all understanding and offer them comfort, dear Lord. Please be with them each and every day as they grieve and as they miss their loved ones. We ask all of this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, now we'll call the meeting to order.
Right, thank you so much for that, Joni. Very much appreciated. As this meeting was specifically called to review proposals on the TIF district that we reviewed prior, I would like to start off with first reading you the advertisement that I placed in the newspaper. So on July 20th in the Times-Union and the Mail Journal, I published the following ad. The Kosciuszko County Redevelopment Commission is seeking proposals from financial consultant firms for assistance in writing the financial plan and for establishing a residential TIF district. The deadline for establishing the residential TIF district is December 31st, 2022. Proposals must be received in the auditor's office no later than 4:30 p.m. on August 3rd, 2022. So that ad did in fact run on both of those publications July 20th. In addition to those running in the publications, I also emailed them to 3 firms that we have worked with in the past, one being Reedy Financial Group, one being Baker Tilly, and the last one being LWG. So I did receive information back, correspondence from all 3 of those entities. So I would like to read that to you at this point. So from Reedy Financial Group, they were the first entity to respond. Their proposal for services was they expect the fees for their services to be between $5,000 and $10,000, depending on the amount of meetings that we would have them attend in person. The second proposal I received from Baker Tilly, I worked with Andrew Mauser at Baker Tilly, and he gave me a more formal scope of work that I will distribute to you. In one section, he has a do not exceed of $4,000, and then in another section, a do not exceed of $7,500. And again, part of that was contingent on the number of meetings that they would be required to attend. And lastly, we did receive response from LWG, but at this time they elected to pass, as it could be a potential conflict of interest with other projects that they have going on in the area of similar makeup. So those are the 3 groups that I did hear directly from, and I do have those printed off to give to you today. And typically, once we receive proposals or bids on a project, I give them to the board. They take them under advisement, so then you can do further research and have communication with those entities, and then you make the decision at your next meeting. Now, your next meeting is scheduled for August 8th. But due to the time-sensitive nature of this and knowing that we really want to continue to make progress, I'm sorry, September 8th. I said August, and oh, whoa, that was not right. September 8th, if you would want to have another meeting put in place before that September date to make your decision on that, I would be more than happy to advertise and facilitate that on your behalf.
Are there any reasons why we could not look at them? And
The only thing would be, since these were proposals and it was more of a vague description, that I did advertise if you would want to reach out to them personally, if you had any questions about their fee schedule or exactly what scope of services those entailed, that would give you the opportunity to do that and do that legwork before you make the decision, since we did receive two separate proposals.
if you could distribute those, and then we'll go from there. How's that?
I will be more than happy to do that. Did you want to consider another meeting prior to your September 8th meeting to make this decision?
I'd like to look at the proposals and then talk amongst ourselves and see what we would like to do moving forward. Just
Okay,
Okay.
all right, okay.
Just, yeah. There's nothing prohibiting us from making a decision today.
No,
Thank you.
no.
That's my question. Just, I don't want to. Yes.
I only have physically one printed copy, but I can pass it on to you guys.
Very well written. Redevelopment Commission members, do you see any reason why we can't at least discuss the two proposals?
I don't have any issue with discussing it.
Okay. Would like to get your opinions before we reach out to other parties that are interested in this.
Okay?
Does anyone have a strong feeling of choosing one over the other?
I'm more familiar with Baker and Tilly. The other one I know nothing about, but I've had other business dealings, so I guess I would lean towards them. It's a little less money, it looks like.
It's much more detailed.
That's true.
And I like the lower cost.
Okay, gentlemen, you're familiar with Baker Tilly. Are you also familiar with Reedy Financial? Okay,
Aware of them, had not worked with them.
all right. Would you have any hesitation if we were to make a decision today to move forward with one of the two? Pending financial approval from the council and the commissioners? The next steps?
Yeah, my next
Thank you.
question, where financially this would be paid for.
Correct, okay. Yes, we would need to secure the funding. There are several avenues we could approach to do that, but, okay. So in light of that, since our partners do not have any qualms about moving forward, I would entertain a motion, since the consensus seems to be to engage the firm Baker Tilly to start this process.
I'll make that motion.
Second,
All those in favor of engaging Baker Tilly to help us start the TIF district creation process, thank you. Please raise your right hand. Opposed? Mr. Attorney, do you have anything, any guidance, anything to say? You-
We get rolling with them, well, I guess, and then approval, I guess, financial standpoint.
All right, now, Michelle, I need to rely on your intelligence. Can we go before the council on Thursday? Is it too late to be on the agenda? I know the agenda's out.
The agenda is out. This could fall under other business.
Okay.
Some questions that I have either for Baker Tilly or for Adam is, again, I've not been in the very beginning of a project as far as creating a TIF, and knowing that we don't have any funds in that area, is it appropriate to spend our TIF revenues that we have in other TIFs to develop this, or where would that initial cash investment come from to even get the ball rolling on these projects?
Need to turn on your mic.
Yeah, I don't think it's a problem. I mean, it's helping cover the cost with the redevelopment commission. I guess I'm not real familiar with on the financial side of things, how that would look.
Okay,
I mean, it's gotta come from somewhere, and it's gotta come from a fund that the redevelopment commission funds. So, yeah. I mean, because there's obviously gonna be engagement or costs for me as well, I mean, for that, so we need to look at where that spending. There's no, the redevelopment commission doesn't have any other buckets other than the TIFs allocated to it.
correct.
No budget or anything
No.
like that for initiatives. And I don't know enough to know how that compares to other counties and those kind of things, of where their buckets of monies come from.
Don't we have attorney fees budgeted?
We do, but those attorney fees were more for those specific TIF districts as we're having those conversations as a whole in the redevelopment commission, since this is a new area and we don't have any funding collected.
This
And
is why I rely on you.
yes, and it's going to be probably several years before we do so. Yeah.
There are, did you want to add something?
There is the capability
Could you please speak into that? Sorry.
Apologize.
No.
Within the TIF legislation, there is a possibility of being able to borrow from one
Okay, and pay
TIF
that
to
back.
the next. Basically, the statute refers to the ability to do that, obviously, with your approval, and that money is supposed to be paid back by the end of the calendar year, but can be relent to the same entity again, so you can roll it over if the timing isn't quite right.
Okay. Sorry, until the new district starts generating revenue in order to pay it back.
Or some other.
Yeah, or some other means.
Yeah.
That's what I don't know, is like, what's the some other means?
Yeah,
Is it, what
it-
are
it
our other
becomes a-
options?
Inter-TIF transfer, just like an interdepartmental transfer.
But there are other funding sources if the council and the commissioners would see, would approve. There are rainy day funds, there are edit funds, and there are county general. I can tell you the and ARP funds. County general would be the last possibility, but there are ARPA funds. Alan has been in discussion about housing with them. There has not been any decisions made. It's been tabled. There's also rainy day funds, which the Redevelopment Commission has the authority to request funds from there. Doesn't mean they will be approved. It means we have the authority to do so. And then we have the edit funds, which is basically under the commissioner's authority, but we could approach them. So we do have other funding sources if a transfer was not received well.
Well, and again, from my limited experience, it was more of where we were getting a bond related to the TIF, and then the bond was used to pay all the expenses of all the professionals. So, you know, if that's something we end up at or we don't end up at, you know, that's what we're gonna figure out as well, too.
Alan?
So I actually met with commissioners, made a presentation actually this week, and I did alert them. I will be coming back in September with a few things to ask for from the project budget that they set aside within the seeded budget. So there's $250,000 a year that's budgeted within the seeded budget for economic development projects. So, you know, we could include this in the request for budget for project funds. I would probably look at, okay, are there other expenses we might anticipate related to this that we should go ahead and include? But then I would also look for how do we make sure we can connect the dots as a way to get those dollars back to use again, so.
Exactly. No matter which way we pursue this, I would think it would be in our best interest to have a way to replenish those funds moving forward.
Right. So to Greg's point, I mean, there's a way you could perhaps utilize one of the area TIF, the TIF areas in the northern part of the county that has dollars, or we could go to the commissioners for the seeded dollars. There's a couple avenues.
Do you know what the balance is in the northern TIF? The 1,300 that we utilized, 600,000 out of? There should still be a balance there.
There is a balance. I don't know what that is right off the top of my head. And again, I know we have several TIFs that do have cash balances. And that's also something I could discuss with Baker Tilly when I call them. They've always been a great resource in the new TIF legislation and how these different TIFs work. I've also never worked with a TIF that didn't have that initial bond as well to pay those fees. Timing wise, if it is something that the commissioners allow to be used out of that seeded fund that is available for KEDCO projects, those dollars are immediately already appropriated. So that appropriation and that funding is available as soon as the commissioners would say, yes, please go forward. So that timeline-wise would be an immediate, a very quick, a very easy access to those dollars so that we could get started and continue. As far as the accounting side of it, to make sure that we're tracking those dollars, so when this TIF does start to collect, that the commissioners receive those funds back. That accounting will be held in the auditor's office. We'll track all expenses in this TIF, similar to the regular TIF spreadsheets that you guys receive now. You'll see every single out as far as expenditure, and then you'll see when we do repay these expenses to the edit fund once we start collecting dollars. So accounting-wise, not an issue at all for our office to track and make sure those funds get repaid as soon as those dollars start coming in. Because it will be several years before any revenue starts coming into that TIF district.
Commission members, do you have any comments at this point?
I don't,
Adam, would you have any estimation of your cost? It would be a per-hour basis. We're well aware of that, but you have done a TIF prior, correct?
Yeah, yeah. The problem is, go back to, what Michelle was saying, they were all related to bonds. And so it was actually connected more to bond counsel's fees than anything else, so. But yeah, I think we could be in that, kind of that same range of, 4,000 to 8,000 on the high end.
Okay. Can I entertain a motion to move forward with seeking the commissioner's approval to use the seeded funds to start this process and possibly acquire a bond if that is the best way to go, depending on Baker Tilly's input and Baker Tilly and Adams' discussion?
We kind of, I guess I'm sitting here thinking, in reality, if we're doing anything impactful in this TIF area, it's probably going to involve some sort of infrastructure on the front end, which is going to require a bond anyway. I mean, from that standpoint, it's just a matter of figuring out, how much can the TIF afford and repay, and then what are the projects that was options that we have and the scope of each project, and what do we look at be able to provide for the area. So there's going to be some financing in it all at some point. But I think once we have that financial consultant on our side, I think that will help us a lot moving forward.
Guidance, Madam Auditor.
I think it's a wonderful idea that Alan present this option to the commissioners at their August 16th meeting. I think it would also be great if one of you possibly could attend with
I'll
him
be there.
as well, just so that way if the commissioners have any questions, and it will be obvious how much the Redevelopment Commission is supporting this project going forward. I really think that's the most seamless way. And again, if we do go forward with the bond, that accounting will be held in the auditor's office, and the edit money would just get paid back quicker if we did go through that bond process, because we would have available funds sooner.
Adam, can you attend the August 16th Commissioner meeting at 9 a.m.?
is it 9?
They're always at 9.
Okay.
Mike? Can you attend?
I cannot.
You cannot. Okay,
I'm not sure yet.
you're not sure yet.
What was the date again?
August 16th?
And if that doesn't fit with your schedules, just a general letter of support for that project that you could get to me and I could distribute to the commissioners ahead of time. So they, again, are clear on the support that the Redevelopment Commission has to go forward with this specific residential TIF. Just trying to give Alan all the supportive documents he needs to communicate clearly what your intent and desires are.
So, excuse me, can we request that any redevelopment commission member that cannot attend, if they're so willing, to write a letter of support?
Absolutely.
Okay. And I don't know if that works for you or not, Adam. I'm not sure where that falls, honestly.
Should probably be a little more objective and just
Yeah, I don't, yeah.
work at the direction of the commission members, not give
Yes.
Thank you.
my own opinion.
Thank you. I appreciate the guidance. Definitely appreciate all the guidance because it's all new area for us, so, okay. With that, then I would entertain a motion. Did we already do that part? No. Yes.
for Alan to go forward to
Yes.
present this to the commissioners.
Okay, so we're good?
No, we haven't done that.
Okay, thank you. I thought, wait a minute, did I already do this? No? Okay. I would entertain a motion to request that Alan move forward with approaching the commissioners at their August 16th meeting to use some of the seeded funds to at least start this process, with the explanation that we would be issuing a bond probably. I'm not sure if we can get that answer prior to August 16th. No, okay. With the intention that we will be repaying those funds moving forward, whether it's through a bond or some other mechanism, recapturing TIF funds. The intention is to repay it at some point. We
I'll
don't-
make that motion.
Okay, thank you. Dan?
Second?
Thank you. We okay? Yeah. Okay. I can tell you're thinking, so I'm just a little concerned. Don't want to make sure I messed anything up here. Okay, all those on the redevelopment commission in favor of moving forward with the motion that Dan graciously made, please raise your right hand. Opposed? Nobody? Wonderful.
Right.
Thank you. Okay, so do we have any other business to come before the redevelopment commission? Please check your calendars, and if you can be there.
Alan might.
Okay, sure, I'm sorry. Let me finish my thought. If you can be there August 16th at 9:00 a.m., wonderful. If not, a letter of recommendation would be greatly appreciated. I will communicate that to Doug also. And Jeremy's a non-voting member, so, okay. So I will email Doug that request. Hi,
Hello.
how are you?
Hey, it's great. Beautiful Friday morning in Warsaw. Hey, two things. Just number one, while we're talking about the South Shore area, I do want to recognize Nate Shearer, who's with us today. Nate and Jeff are partners on the project with South Shore Village, or South Shore Ventures. And Jeff Dyson was here at our last meeting.
Yes.
Nate's here today to be able to introduce you to both of them. And so thank you, Nate, for joining. And they're very passionate about this project, committed to it, and they've done a lot of legwork. So certainly want to see how we can help them continue to move that forward. And then Greg whispered in my ear to mention one other item. Just as a reminder, the town of Etna Green is asking the commission here in the near future to begin working on a similar kind of TIF study for housing development in Etna Green. Now, they don't have their own redevelopment commission, so really then this commission would have jurisdiction to be able to utilize same kind of process, work with the same entity, Baker Tilly, to study a TIF area in Etna Green proper. And I'm going to look at Greg for a minute. I believe they have offered to pay for that study, correct?
That's correct. They,
Yes.
we will get their, they've set up a pre-development, I'm
Yep,
sorry.
go ahead.
They have set up a pre-development fund that will have the money in the fund to pay for this study and other related expenses for that. We will take the proposal, which is actually the same proposal that you saw this morning, to the town council on next Tuesday for their approval. Because it is a little strange where they've got to approve it, obviously, and then come back. Just any questions that you might have, or if you're comfortable that once they approve it, they can go ahead and have Baker Tilly start, or would you like it coming back to you again at that point?
First of all, is it the August 9th? Like next Tuesday?
Yes.
Do you know what time the meeting starts?
That meeting starts at 7 p.m.
Okay. Commission members, they are going to fund the preliminary study, so they would not need anything from us at this point other than the approval to get started. Is that
Correct.
correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Or approval to serve in that capacity?
Yeah, you actually
Or is that
did that
mandatory?
earlier this year,
Oh,
I
that's
believe,
right.
when we first brought it up. But at that point, it was the question, yeah, well, you know, the redevelopment commission can do that, but
Who's paying for what?
who's paying for what? This is the answer to that question. They're paying for it. And the contract will actually be effectively within the town of Etna Green, but obviously that will at some point have to run through the redevelopment commission.
Thank you for that explanation. All right, so at this point, I would entertain a motion to approve them moving forward with engaging Baker Tilly and starting that process with their funds that they already have set aside for this.
I'll make that motion.
Adam's think, is there a better way to say this, Adam?
I was just thinking they can spend their money how they want to spend their money.
I know,
If
that's
we
what
need to
I'm
tell
thinking
them,
too, but
Then I don't know that we need a motion on anything other than, I think you were looking more for feedback of, does there need to be more discussion, or does this commission have more questions or anything like that?
Yeah, the report, the first report, and this goes back to the proposal, actually, you can see the two sections in it. The first issue is the 1% study.
Yeah.
They'll do that to make sure that they're eligible, just as you will with South Shore or any other residential TIF. And then should that move forward and get the approvals of the other entities, the Plan Commission, the school board, that's probably the time when the second section, the tax impact study, logically can be done because you've gotten the appropriate approvals. In this case, the first part, the 1% study, they'll just do it, they'll report back that it's eligible, et cetera, et cetera. When it comes to then the Plan Commission, the school board, that happens to be Triton, we'll work with the town to make sure that that has been done. Then there will be a public hearing. The public hearing at that stage will actually have to be done by the Redevelopment Commission.
okay.
Okay.
And so we'll obviously keep you informed at each step of the process, but just,
Thank you.
just because normally if you will act in the same way at that stage that you'll act for South Shore or some of the other TIFs that you've had in terms of being the official agent to call the meetings to order, things of that sort.
And is Baker Tilly going to work with their town council
Yes.
on all those things? Okay.
Yes.
So,
Yep.
yeah, okay. School board resolution and all that?
Yeah.
Okay.
And just probably in consideration of the fact that no action needed on these, but several of the other communities that we're working with on housing in the county are in that same situation. Fortunately, pretty much all of them have worked with Baker Tilly also. Mentone, we were at the other evening, Leesburg, Pierceton, so you'll see this same process playing out, hopefully, several times in the near future. So we're kind of taking it step by step, since we know we're going to do it more often, to make sure that kind of everybody understands and kind of works through the process, if that's all right. So,
You said Mentone, Pierceton, and
Leesburg.
Leesburg. Thank you. Okay. All right. Appreciate the updates and appreciate you keeping us informed of what's going on moving forward. I will attend their next town council meeting. Is anybody else available to attend that on August the 9th at 7 PM?
No, I'm out.
It sounds like fun, but
Maybe
Sounds
Doug?
like fun.
Yeah.
Small town council.
Yeah.
Etna Green? Okay, I've been to Mentone, so yeah, this will be a new one. It'll be fun. Okay.
Maybe Doug?
Yeah,
might be
I will
available.
ask him. When I ask about the letter of recommendation, I will also mention that to him.
Okay.
Okay. Do you need anything further from
No,
us?
thank you very much. Appreciate it very much.
All right, thank you very much. Anything else? Thank you all so much for all of your input and keeping us on the right track. I really appreciate that.
We're all learning together,
Yes,
too.
but no, but I
Learning out.
really
That's
appreciate having someone to guide us.
It is
and
pretty
to
exciting stuff, though.
Suggest
Yeah.
ways that we can do this, because it's been a long time coming. And I think having solid plans, at least even the starting stages, goes far with the council, the commissioners, area plan, to say that, we're really interested and excited about doing something so that we can have affordable housing, especially in outlying communities. And the key here is affordable, and everyone's definition of affordable is different. However, I think there have been enough significant studies that the 350 and 400,000 and up are not what the people that typically can't always afford those. We're talking a little $250,000, $300,000 range, I believe, would be my guesstimation for affordable housing. Jan, do you want to talk about that?
Me?
Yeah. Yes, I am relying on your Realtor experience.
So, yes, ideally that 250 to 300 would be a sweet spot. Another thing to consider is that in some of those areas, there might be some people moving up, and that might open up that first-time home buyer to that home as somebody has availability to move up within the community. There's been a lot of discussion about that as well. So I think the combination is definitely, but yes, much more leaning towards what we like to call workforce housing rather than affordable because of
The definition
the
of
definition
affordable.
is like here to here, so.
Very true. Okay. All right. Well, again, thank you for taking time out of your day and for coming, all of you. Really appreciate it. Nate, would like a chance to introduce myself and speak to you for a moment after. And again, Michelle and Adam and everyone, thank you for all of your guidance and help. This made this very well. So now I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I so move.
So, and when we all get up and leave, that is approved. Thank you.
Thank you.